Are you getting ready to negotiate with a narcissist and you want to be sure that you can grab the edge and shift that dynamic of power and be in control? Then grab my free Crush My Negotiation Prep worksheet at winmynegotiation.com. It's at the link below. I just came across this really fascinating article about Elon Musk and whether or not his narcissism will actually be his downfall. I'm Rebecca Zung, and I've been recognized as a top 1% attorney. I've written a couple of best-selling books, Negotiate Like You Matter and Breaking Free, Step-by-Step Divorce Guide. And what I do here for you on this channel is I teach you how to negotiate, deal with, manage, and powerfully shift the dynamic for narcissists. And if that's you, if you're dealing with one or two or five, then make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell. And that way you'll get notified when I upload new videos. Okay, so let's talk about Elon Musk. Now, he's probably a narcissist, I guess. I don't know. But, I think a lot of these top CEOs, these visionary people, these leaders are either narcissists themselves or they have narcissistic traits, because to some extent you have to have that sense of grand vision, that sense of grand purpose. And that's certainly something that narcissists have. Steve Jobs had some of those traits as well. Some people say Jeff Bezos does as well, and Bill Gates and people like that. So, it's hard to know. A lot of people do say that Elon Musk does exhibit, traits of empathy, which certainly is not narcissistic. But, I would say that narcissism is definitely a continuum. And while I'm not a psychologist, I kind of have my practical or street version of my narcissistic degree, because I've had to deal with tons of them, and I've read lots and lots of books on narcissism, and I've really taken the time to study and learn about this personality type so that I can understand how to negotiate with them, so I can teach you the steps. I mean, I've been talking about negotiation for years and years and years. I wrote a whole book on it. Robert Shapiro wrote the foreword. I've spoken on it forever, but it wasn't until I really started diving into the idea of narcissism that I really started to understand what motivates narcissists and how to actually get what you want from them. So let's talk about Elon Musk, though, and will his narcissism be his downfall? So I came across this article by a guy named Professor Shlomo Ben-Hur and Brian Bolton, and it was really fascinating to me. It was actually comparing Elon Musk to someone else, but I really still found the part about Elon Musk to be really, really fascinating. And what he says in the article is that Sigmund Freud characterized narcissists as especially suited to be leaders and uniquely able to give a fresh stimulus to cultural development, but they're also prone to damage the established state of affairs. So that's a quote that they put in the article by Sigmund Freud. And, in some ways, narcissism and a certain amount of what we might call narcissism or narcissistic traits might be good. And if you want to know more about that, definitely check out my video on Is Narcissism Good? But it can also be their undoing, which you want to check out my video on that as well. I did a whole breakdown on the show, The Undoing with Hugh Grant, and it can definitely be their undoing as well. But will it be the undoing of Elon Musk? Will it be his downfall? So let's talk about that a little bit more. So, he's done a lot of really interesting things. And he was involved with the beginning of PayPal. He certainly has shifted the whole automobile market. Nobody ever thought that electric cars would become as popular as they are, and Tesla. And now he's really pioneering everything for SpaceX. So it's hard to know for sure, but I can definitely say that there is what we call a shadow side to narcissists, which is that they're distrustful, they're emotionally isolated, prone to bouts of rage, and they have grand visions for the future, but also sometimes they overblow um, or overly hedge their bets on how important they are. And that can also become their undoing. Are you so ready to fight back against those narcissists in your life, either in your business or your personal life? Then don't do it without my free Crush My Negotiation Prep worksheet. It's time for you to take control of the negotiations. Just grab it at winmynegotiation.com. The link is right below. And, so you've seen these situations with Elon Musk where he's tweeted something that was like super crazy, or he's decided to do things that were just absolutely out of the realm. So remember when he, during the pandemic, just decided he's letting all his workers go back to work because that's what he wanted to do. And he just kind of does what he wants to do. And then when California wouldn't comply with what he wanted, he just said, okay, I'm out of here, which is kind of how narcissists can be. They can be a little bit impulsive sometimes, prone to bouts of rage, as I mentioned. They can act sometimes like they're bigger than whatever the situation is that they're in, including their own companies. And they don't want to have to be beholden to any kind of boards of directors or any kind of other executives or anything like that. They don't want to be exposed. They don't want to have to be, answering to anyone. And so that can also end up being their undoing. And that's what happened with Steve Jobs. I don't know if you recall, but he ended up getting, booted out of his own company, right? And if you are so ready to powerfully negotiate with narcissists, give me a let's do this in the comments. Okay, so one of the things that's also really interesting about some of these really powerful narcissists who've kind of changed the world, like Steve Jobs and Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, is that they have this sort of suspended disbelief. They distort reality, which is certainly on the DSM-5. It's one of the what I call narcissistic 7 deadly sins, and you can definitely check out my video on that. But distorting reality, magical thinking is one of the things that they consider, psychologists and psychiatrists consider when they are looking to see if somebody should be diagnosed with actually narcissistic personality disorder, which is a very small part of the population compared to people who might just have narcissistic traits or tendencies. But, that can also work to a narcissist's favor. I mean, I remember stories about Steve Jobs where the people were saying, oh, let's do field testing for these iPhones. And he was like, I'm not going to do field testing. I don't want them to tell me what they want. I'm going to tell them what they want. I'm going to show them what it is that they want, which was like really crazy to think of. I mean, it was totally backward from the way anybody else thought. So in some ways they can get themselves to a certain level, but in many ways it can also become their downfall. They will end up lying. They will end up manipulating. They will end up doing things that you can catch them in. And if you give them enough rope, if you give them enough, they will end up creating their own noose and hanging themselves. And I see that all the time in negotiations. And so when you are negotiating with them, just be ready, do your documentation, check to see, if you have any emails or texts that show any inconsistencies. That's how it becomes their downfall, because you can catch them. And then when you can catch them, you can start to build your summaries and create enough leverage within your strategy to be able to force that narcissist to want to come to the table with you. It's a way to ethically manipulate the manipulator. Okay. So if you want to know more about it, make sure you grab my free Crush My Negotiation Prep worksheet. It's an ebook and you can get it at winmynegotiation.com. You can also join my free private Facebook group, Narcissist Negotiators with Rebecca Zung. Lots of people in there supporting each other and giving each other ideas. And if you like this video, give it a like, give it a share, drop me a comment, let me know what you thought about this. If you think that Elon Musk's narcissism will end up being his downfall, very curious to know what you think. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, now is a great time to do that. Subscribe and hit the notification bell. I'm so glad that you stopped by my channel. I'm so glad that you're here. Remember, today's a great day to start negotiating your best life, and I will see you in the next video.